deal with community college culinary program. They would
It's
bring
recording
up-
now. We are recording.
Well, it's the other side of the train.
You could still be meeting, right?
Okay, good evening. Let's call to order the regular Board of Directors meeting for the Cities Association of Santa Clara County for our May 8th meeting, 2025 at 7:09 PM. First up is roll call, shall we?
Ann Bybee. Present. Katie Moore. Or Liang Chow. Greg Baza. Lisa Fliger.
Here.
Kavita Tonka.
Rajiv sitting in.
Okay, thank you. Matthew Hudes.
Here.
Carmen Montano. Here. Javid Elahi.
Present.
Mark Turner. Or Marilyn Liebers. Ellen Kamei.
Alternate.
Emily Ramos, thank you. Ed Lowing.
Here.
Rosemary Kamei.
Here.
Kelly Cox or Lisa Gilmore. Tina Walia.
Here.
Sunnyvale. Oh, sorry, Larry Klein. Sorry.
Fine.
We have quorum.
Thank you very much. Next up is oral communications. This is a chance for the public to speak on something that is not on our agenda tonight. Is there anyone in the room wishing to speak under oral communications? Is there anyone remote?
No one online.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to our regular agenda. First up is our consent agenda to approve the minutes from our March 13th meeting. Are there any comments? Is there any member of the public wishing to speak on our consent calendar?
No one online.
Okay, is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Sorry.
Second.
Walia.
Thank you. And
Sorry.
second by Montano.
Okay. Okay, motion to approve the consent agenda as presented by Walia, seconded by Montano. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is the president update. So right now, I just wanted to give everyone the heads up that we're deep into the planning stages for our June, I'm going to mess up, 12th meeting. Oh, I got it right.
Yes.
Look at that, I got it right. And so just to let everybody know, you've received a save the date. You'll get more information later, but it'll start off with a reception. And if you haven't visited our second floor balcony space, that'll be the beginning of a reception up there, and then we'll move down here for our main meeting. The food will be coming from Dish Dash, for those of you that know Dish Dash that are in multiple of our cities. Very good as far as a mixture of vegetarian and meat dishes. But our topic is going to be, of course, the fruits of good governance. We'll be talking more about that later and why we chose that. Kevin Dugan will be here. There'll be a panel for a mixed panel of council members and city managers. But Kevin Dugan gave, as I said previously, a discussion several years ago that was well received. It was actually kind of rushed when we went through it a few years ago, and hopefully this will be a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more intermingling of councils and city managers to kind of talk about the good and bad of being on council and what's being expected from staff. But that's going along very well. Please encourage your fellow council members to join, as well as your city manager. So we should have a good discussion as far as that night is concerned. But that's the main focus right now. I know all of us are going through budget season, and not an easy time when a certain amount of federal funding from each of our cities is at risk, and understanding that we have a question about where CDBG and home funding is, and everything else right now. So, but it should be a great event. Hopefully I'll see all of you there, as well as all of our cities. So thank you. Yes.
What time does it start?
So reception starts at 5. Check-in and reception starts at 5. The actual event, and I'm going to forget the time that we specified.
I think we said it was
6.
6:30.
6:15, I think, is the actual event. So we'll be grabbing food. and having basically buffet style in a room across the way. And then discussion at our tables, and then a panel later in the evening. So, anything else? Any other questions? Comments? Anyone, no member of the public wishing to speak? Okay.
So Marilyn,
Oh,
did she raise her hand?
Oh,
Yeah.
Marilyn, yes. See if we can unmute you this time. Can you unmute yourself?
Can you hear me now?
No, we're not hearing you.
Okay, should we do the phone?
Do the phone thing. We'll do the phone thing again.
Okay, all right, hold on.
Your phone.
So sorry.
Oh, it's in my pocket.
Okay, 1 second. We should need to know that she's online too. Yeah,
Do you know what time she?
no, but we have some. Try this again.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Hello. I just wanted to grab the date again.
Oh, yes, June 12th at 5 p.m.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. Yeah, turn that off. Yeah. Turn that down. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Next up, we will move to item number 3, Regional Early Action Planning Grant 2024. Thank you. And the Planning Collaborative update. We have David Driscoll and Samantha Doigoff. Samantha is the project manager for the Community Planning Collaborative. Sam is a community planner with deep experience in public engagement, project management, and local government. Through her experience, she's gained a thorough understanding of government entities and challenges they face. She is passionate about fostering constructive communication between people and government, and is proud to have built a relationship with community groups to develop projects and serve our diverse needs. Sam has over 10 years of experience as a public sector planner, including serving as the Queen's Director of Strategic Initiatives for the City of New York Department of Transportation, and previously worked at the Berkeley Public Works Department, Transportation Division, and the San Francisco Recreation and Parks Department. She holds a Master of Urban Planning in San Jose State University with a focus on community development, and also holds a Bachelor of Science in Environmental Sciences. Sam is a California native and was born and raised in Albany and Berkeley. Though her family roots stretched all the way back to New York City, Topeka, Kansas, and Hawaii. She's passionate. Her passions include cycling, sustainable food systems, and chipping away at our housing crisis, and one project at a time. Sam?
Thank you. I actually have a presentation to share, and I don't have the Zoom link, so I should join and then share my screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you?
I did multiple folks. I sent you a panelist.
Need the location information, but I don't see the Zoom. So maybe I'll just go to your website.
Oh.
Sorry about this. Hold on 1 second. I don't need to turn my video on because it can see me here. Thanks for having me tonight. Sorry about the technical difficulties.
I am going to be doing a short presentation on what the Planning Collaborative has been doing, so the work that we've been doing to support your staff in your cities, and then talk a little bit about how the collaborative is going to continue into 2026, hopefully. Hold on one moment. I'm used to having two screens, so.
make sure she can share.
Let's see.
Share, right?
Yeah, I
There
just,
we go.
There we go.
all right, let me try to go to,
slideshow
slideshow view
view
though,
though,
so that's a little bit easier. Is
easier.
that better?
Great.
Awesome. Thank you for bearing with me. All right. So, I am the project manager for the Planning Collaborative. I work with David Driscoll, who's one of our principals. We've been supporting the Planning Collaborative since 2020 when it first started. So tonight I'm going to talk a little bit about our past and current work for the staff of the collaborative. So pretty much at least one or more staff from every city comes to our monthly meetings and takes advantage of our technical assistance resources that we provide. So I'll talk a little bit about what those have been recently, and then I'll talk a little bit about what we're calling succession planning for 2026. So just a quick overview on kind of the ongoing collaborative support that we provide for those of you who maybe aren't familiar with this. We do monthly meetings. We also have a newsletter, and we upload resources to the Cities Association website on the Planning Collaborative page for staff to access. We do general work plan evaluation like throughout the year in consultation with the steering committee and the full collaborative staff from your cities. We have done a lot of work on the housing elements, especially, and then we work with them to figure out what priorities are for the additional funding that we have for technical assistance. And we also offer one-on-one assistance, which we call on-call support for staff as needed. So say there's a project that comes up, they're going to be doing objective design standards, they have some questions, they can reach out to us and we can either help them directly or find sub-consultants that can help them. We've also been working on TOC compliance and helping some of your cities get grants for TOC compliance. Recently, we did 3 trainings on affordable housing finance. They were really well attended. If you're interested in those or you want other staff to be able to access that training, they're on your website. I can send an email later with all of the stuff that I'm talking about tonight, but I'll try to go through this quickly. There's also many of your cities that are taking part in a shared nexus study. So just there's some quick updates here about that. We're underway and expecting final drafts at the end of the year. There's also an ADU program that we support. We've come previously to talk to you all about the ADU website with homeowner resources, so public information for your residents to help support them in building ADUs. And we're happy to say that there are galleries launched for most of the cities in Santa Clara County, which is great. And many of you already have plans in those galleries as well, which is very exciting. You are ahead of the curve, I think, in the state. There's also still the public-facing website that's available. If you all are interested in doing another PR push, we did hire someone who is helping us with some PR about the Plans Gallery. So if you're interested in that, please, I'm happy to talk to you at the end of this meeting, or I can share my email to let you know about how to get that support. And then we're also working on a very large project on anti-displacement and tenant protections. So we have a staff website available that many of your staff are already using, which has guidance about how to develop an anti-displacement strategy and also how to talk about displacement. And we'll be doing 5 trainings. We've done 2 already with 3 more to come. And a couple of those will be in partnership with MTC ABAG. We're also doing outreach and engagement support to help your staff set the stage for these anti-displacement strategies. So talking to your residents to figure out what's most important when planning how to prevent displacement in your communities. And we're also developing a bunch of outreach tools and templates that staff can use, including this really great slide deck that can help your staff with community engagement about what displacement is, how it affects communities, and what can be done about it. Any questions before I move on? I think that's yeah, of course.
The ADU plans,
Mm-hmm.
were they plans for that whole group of cities or are they individual?
So each individual city has their own gallery. So each city can choose which plans to include on their gallery.
Now, is that on your website or is that on the city's website?
So it's a separate website that most cities are linking to through their city websites. So it's its own platform, but it's like branded for your city. It has your logo and your local information on it. Yeah, I can actually share a view of it at the end if people are interested.
I have one on
Yeah.
the second, arrow, five trainings on preventing displacement. How do you, can you give me an example?
Yeah, so I think actually we'll be posting those recordings on the Cities Association website, so you're welcome to watch them. But basically, it's talking to staff about what they need to do to develop an anti-displacement strategy. So the most recent one, we were talking about evictions in Santa Clara County, and then about what types of services there are that can be leveraged for tenants.
So it's, so it's just, mostly legal, right? Legal help.
Some of it is legal, but it's also about helping staff figure out like what local ordinances they want to pass that will help protect tenants.
But there's no housing per se that you're providing for them.
No, this is about preventing people from losing their housing specifically. Yeah. There's a lot of focus on production in a lot of cities and not as much on keeping people in place. And so this is trying to fill that gap. We do provide a lot of support also on producing more housing, but this is kind of a separate initiative. Yeah.
Just to follow up on Mayor Montana's question, who is the audience for this training? Is it
Your staff. Yes.
So it's not residents who are it's staff.
Yeah, it's staff. So basically all of the trainings are for your staff. They're able to come and listen to those and ask questions. We're also doing one-on-one support. The outreach and engagement is also support for staff, but in the sense of we'll be doing like templates for doing meetings and things like that. But then we'll also be holding focus groups across the county that you will be able to take the information from to like make better decisions about what ordinances you all want to pass. Yeah. All right. Sorry, and then there's the missing middle work group, which we're also doing 5 training sessions on missing middle, which is both a housing type, so housing that's between single family and like mid-level rise housing, so like duplexes, triplexes, cottage courts, things like that, but then also middle income. That was something that your staff is really grappling with, how to promote middle income housing, so income that's accessible to people with a moderate income. So those will also be posted on the website, which you all can look at as well. And that's it. That's like those are the major things that we've been working on as far as staff support. Now moving on to succession planning. So the Santa Clara Planning Collaborative started in 2020. So it actually started with local contributions. Each of your cities came together and they said, we want to do a collaborative similar to what happens in San Mateo County, which has been going on for almost, I think, 15 years now. So at the beginning of the housing elements, they all contributed to get housing element support through the collaborative. In 2021, MTC ABAG got regional early action planning grants, REAP grants from the state, and they decided to use that funding to support collaboratives across the 9 counties. So we have been working using ABAG REAP funding for the last 4 years. That funding is going to run out at the end of 2025. They don't believe that they're going to be getting any additional funding from the state. And as part of the current grant agreement, they have asked that we do succession planning, which is planning to continue the collaborative with local contributions. So they're really hoping that all of the cities will come together and contribute to keep this work going. It's been amazing that they've given us this seed money to get this work done and give this support to your staff, but now it's looking like it's going to have to continue through local contributions. So we've been working with a steering committee made up of staff from many of your jurisdictions to figure out a budget and what the jurisdiction contributions would be. starting in 2026. And we know that many of you are having budget conversations now, and probably you've already heard from Shali about this, but I will go over it just in case, because I think it is somewhat helpful to see it here. So just to give you an example of what our current budget is for 2024-2025, our 2-year budget was $526,000, which covered $160,000 of core activities. So things like monthly meetings, administrative work, communications, in-person meetings, and on-call support. And then that left us with an additional $103,000 per year on this additional TA that I was just telling you about. So all of the slides that I was talking about, missing middle, anti-displacement, ADU, all of that was covered by this additional support. So there is not going to be funding probably for 2026. And so the contribution tiers that we came up with in order to try to continue the work that we're doing, the minimal work that we're doing is here. And I'm just going to go into a little bit more detail on the next slide. It has a lot of the same information, but a little bit more. These tiers were developed based on the original 2020 allocations. And so in order to continue the collaborative at the core functionality, we think $145,000 annually will allow us to do that. So that is the minimum option for jurisdiction contributions. And then for that additional support, there's an additional contribution that can be made to make up a full budget of $265,000. So we are currently talking to many of your staff about whether they're going to be able to fund the collaborative. Many of them really want to, and they're having conversations with city managers and their planning directors. And we have a lot of confidence that many of them will want to contribute. So we're really hopeful that it'll happen and that we'll be able to continue the collaborative. There are a few next steps that we need to figure out before we actually continue the collaborative in 2026. So once we find out how many jurisdictions are going to contribute, we also need to figure out who the fiscal sponsor will be. So currently, the Cities Association is the fiscal sponsor. That means that you all pass through or administer the ABAG grant. So the hope is that the Cities Association will continue to be able to be the fiscal sponsor. So I think that's part of the discussion tonight. And then we will also hopefully be presenting to the city managers in case they have any questions for us about the work that we do or about the contributions themselves. And then eventually, once we figure out who this fiscal sponsor will be, we will work on sending the contribution request letters to the jurisdictions to start setting up those payments to come in anticipation of the 2026 calendar year. So that's it. And I'm happy to take questions or I can go sit and you guys can have your conversation.
So the funding for 2026, that will be effective January of 2026 and not fiscal.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think you can contribute on the cadence that works for you, but our budget will be built around the calendar year. Yes.
So can you tell me more about the collaborative? I remember a couple of years ago it was mentioned, but how did it?
we would say this year, we're just actually not going to be accepting that additional support because there aren't enough jurisdictions that are able to contribute.
Can I just say, in your agenda packet, on pages 10 and 11, is the flyer with more detailed information that Sam's here.
Other questions?
Right
Oh.
here. Question?
Thank you.
I was just curious on how you came up with these numbers. You know, we're a very small city, Montessori, you know, about 2,000 people or 3,000 maybe sometimes if you count the babies, I suppose. But a good formula you may want to consider is the one Cities Association is using, how much it charges from its budgets to different cities. And it's based on the population sizes. So there are big cities like San Jose that are paying, you know, about half of the budget, or not quite half, but they're paying about 25% of the budget or 30%. So you may want to consider that because the services, obviously, a city like Montecito is going to get are going to be fairly minimal. Services like a bigger city like San Jose would not just be 1/3 more than Montecito, would be considerably more than Montecito. So you may want to redo your numbers. Otherwise, this sounds more like a tariff sheet that was put out. How the tariffs are calculated. So if you can do that, that would be helpful.
Yeah, so I will say that the contributions were based on the original contributions that started in 2020, but also people are very lean on budget this year, and so we even reduced our starting budget to try to address those budget concerns. I will also say I totally hear you about San Jose being very large. We actually do find that the smaller cities leverage our services more than the larger cities because the larger cities tend to have more internal capacity than the smaller cities do. The staffs that only have like 1 to 3 planners, those are the people that we talk to very often that are really leveraging us and our resources. So we can definitely take it back and look at our budget and see whether we can kind of change it a little bit. I would love to see the Cities Association dues formula. That would be helpful for us.
Okay. We'll get you that.
Just as a follow-up, like you say, the staff uses it more. I'm just curious as to Montecito's participation. Have you had a lot of
well,
conversations with our
Montecito has used us for the housing element. They got a lot of support on housing element. And then also the plans gallery. So those are 2 of like the pretty big ticket items. And it does seem like they leverage us quite a bit. Yeah.
Thank you.
So thank you. Just to respond to that. So for the city of Saratoga, $8,500 is the city's dues, annual dues to Cities Association. And San Jose is a lot more, just to give you perspective.
Okay,
yes.
Good to know. Yeah.
So
yeah.
we'll get you our formula.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
Director Plager.
Thank you. But I appreciate you expressing the fact that, and it makes sense that smaller cities use the services more. So if you really look at it from that perspective, it's different from how we do the Cities Association dues. So just 2 questions on the core functions. If some cities don't participate, will the amounts remain the same? Because I don't know. And my follow-up question will be that $145,000. What does it go towards? Is it salaries? Like, what does it go towards?
No, it is all towards like hourly support. So it is all of the work that goes into researching laws, creating presentations to deliver information about new laws, convening the monthly meetings for staff, the newsletters, the website updates, everything like that is part of that budget. And we charge on an hourly basis.
Okay.
Yeah, by staff.
And so if some cities don't participate, even with the core functions column, the rates will remain the same and you'll still provide the services to the cities who participate.
We'll provide as much as we can. I think if we get below a certain amount, we might not really be able to provide the full functionality of the collaborative is the unfortunate part. Like we would maybe have to have fewer meetings in a year and provide less technical assistance if only a certain number contributed and we had a smaller budget.
So I had 2 questions. Sorry.
Oh, no, I wasn't ready.
Has this been presented at the City Managers Association? Because we can say whatever we want. It's whether or not it's baked into their budget is part of that. It has.
Oh, we don't know. So we haven't gotten updates from our staff about how their budget conversations have gone. All we're doing is tracking whether they're hoping to contribute, whether they are committed to contribute or not. And it seems like there's a handful that are ready to say that they have budgeted for it, and then a lot that are still in conversation.
Okay. And then as far as timing, go ahead.
I just wanted to clarify that they were supposed to speak at the City Managers Association meeting this month, but they have a lot on their agenda. So Sam and company got up to June.
Okay.
But I will present a very bare bones version of this.
The managers are aware that this is coming.
Okay.
We had a question here too.
Yeah. One second. Let me follow up from a timing standpoint, and this is kind of an interesting thing. This is for 2026 calendar year estimate.
Yes,
From
that's
a
right.
budgetary standpoint, we could, we are all of our cities are doing 25, 26 to July 1st or June 30th. So as you're looking at this, and I'm not sure how all of our cities would look at it, would it ultimately be, let's say, base functionality is 10,000, but it's 5,000 in the first half of 2026 and another 5,000 in the second half? Is it evenly spread amongst the year? Because conceivably, this is two different budgets for each of our cities.
Sure. I mean, I think that if you all wanted to say it's more comfortable to contribute half for the first half of 2026, and then more later, I don't think there's a problem with that. It's just about doing the paperwork.
Okay, just double checking.
Yeah, I think that's fine. We just want to get the funding so we can keep the support going. And our budget is not like we spend all 145,000 at the beginning and we spend it throughout the year. So.
Okay, thank you. Director May?
Yes. I guess since this is something that's more sort of staff facing, I'm not sort of aware in terms of utilization of your services. I do believe that whenever you're sort of coming together with others, like in the housing element, it's very, very helpful to leverage resources. So I see a lot of value in that, but I think it would be helpful to know the services in terms of, well, who has been really engaged in obtaining those services, because I think then it'll give us a better idea as to, hey, if you had to go out to get those services, it's going to cost you way more than what is leveraged here together.
Absolutely.
And I know I'm from San Jose, so I know that we have greater capacity, but I also think that in terms of even getting to know like what are other cities doing is extremely helpful.
Oh, yes.
And I live on the border of Saratoga, Campbell, and Cupertino. So to me, there's a lot of similarities as you're doing housing element. And so I think that if we knew a little bit more, because I think the staff probably knows, but if we knew a little bit more about the value proposition of having something like this, it would be very, very helpful. Because if each one of us had to go out and find our own consultants, it's going to cost more.
Yeah, I actually can share on my screen. We have a memo that we shared out. I think it's in your packet.
Yeah, pages 10 and 11.
That does have, we kind of did some back of the envelope calculations.
You want me to pull it up?
Showing, yeah, sure. If you have it, that would be great. Some back of the envelope calculations of kind of what it would cost to do some of these projects that we cover separately, and how much it costs for us to do them collectively, and then how much the savings actually is. So if you scroll down to the second page, you'll see a lot of our examples of past work. And if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, this is kind of our kind of value proposition for what your savings is for using the collaborative for this type of work. So I'm happy to answer any questions about this. I know it's a lot of numbers on the screen. And we've broken it down by project, but I mean, generally you're getting tens of thousands of dollars of savings on each of these types of projects that we're doing. And I will say, as far as how involved staff is. I mean, we have at least one staff member from every city join almost every meeting that we have, and many more than one staff member join many of our trainings. So even if there's just one staff member that's coming to our regular monthly meetings, they're telling other staff about the missing middle trainings and about the anti-displacement trainings. And they're having multiple staff come and leverage those resources.
Director Bybee?
Um,
Oh, sorry.
Just sitting there like this.
Oh, sorry. I thought, my
Sorry.
fault, my fault.
Keep calling on me, Larry.
Sorry about that. Director Patea?
Hi, so thank you. This is very informative. Can you give us a sort of a little bit of an insight into some specific tangible benefits that have resulted from your engagement with just a couple of very specific examples, like this was the question that they had, this is what we told them, here's what they were able to fix as a result. So
Yeah.
with regard to the housing element.
So, I mean, for those of you who are TOC jurisdiction, so TOC policy jurisdiction, so in MTC ABAG, they have a TOC policy that is transit-oriented communities policy, which basically governs all of the station areas, so transit station areas. So if any of you have any transit stations, then it's probably your staff has been working on this. So MTC ABAG is going to require that jurisdictions meet a certain number of criteria in order to potentially leverage OBAG funding for the next cycle. So OBAG funding funds things like transportation projects. So we've met with almost every single TOC jurisdiction to provide direct technical assistance, to talk them through exactly what the compliance requirements are, explain to them how they're going to meet them, and then get them on the path to meet those. Other things that we've done, I mean, almost all, I think only like 2 jurisdictions are not taking advantage of the plans gallery, the ADU plans gallery. So there's a plans gallery for almost all of your jurisdictions, which is a platform for homeowners to access all of your pre-approved plans, plus other plans that you decide you want to showcase to them to build ADUs. So those are two examples. I mean, we also just have people reach out regularly to be like, oh, like we're going to be doing an ordinance on AB 1033, condoization. So do you know of resources that we can leverage on that? Can you help us find some ordinances that will work? What are the pros and cons of doing a project on that? We've had people reach out about, what's the best way to do implementation for pre-approved plans. So AB 1332, which requires you all to review and approve plans if they're submitted to you. I think almost all of your jurisdictions have reached out to get help on that. There's a lot. It happens like on a daily basis, but
Can you speak a little bit about the steering committee?
Yeah.
Because this process is really driven by city staff and not really by you and David.
That's correct. Yeah. So we have a steering committee that meets quarterly or more, depending on if we're working heavily on a work plan. And they're the ones that help us decide based on their local priorities, what we include in our work plan for the year. So we were doing 6-month work plans for a while. So every 6 months we would talk to them and ask, what is on your docket for the next 6 months? What work do you have to do? What work do you want us to support you in doing? And that's how we have developed all of this work that I showed you before. So the anti-displacement work was because of requests by staff who are working on anti-displacement because of housing element commitments. Same with affordable housing. A lot of them are trying to figure out how to get more affordable housing. And so the affordable housing finance workshops were in response to that. So it's really like a lot of people request a lot of different things. There's a lot of overlap. We'll do one-on-one assistance for people who request specific things. And then we'll do like larger projects for multiple jurisdictions that are.
And which cities are represented on the steering committee?
There's a lot of them, but I think over the 2 years, the ones that have been the most active have probably been Cupertino, Gilroy, Morgan Hill, I think Sunnyvale and Santa Clara.
The steering committee?
Oh, yes,
Rob,
and
East
Rob,
Campbell,
Campbell. Yeah. And like people come in and out kind of depending on like what their availability is. Moscatos has been involved during some of our conversations. It really depends on like what they're working on at any given time. And
Just
how much?
add many, if not all the cities worked with the collaborative on the housing.
Yes,
That
that's
was a
correct.
big one.
Yeah, so we did the constraints analysis.
and plan to continue to do. And then I'd love to
That is in a nutshell, what the county is doing. Happy to take questions, but also just wanted to hear from all of you what you are dealing with in your cities, and definitely appreciate the city perspective. I hope you know that although I have 9, not 15, but 9 of the cities out of the 15 in my district, you're all a part of me, and I will do my best. I'm very committed to advocating for all of our cities, and so would very much appreciate your thoughts, your what you're facing right now in your communities, and looking for ways for us to work together more. So thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Dr. Hudis?
I had 2 questions. One is the numbers and the funding. Does that include Section 8 federal funding and units?
So Section 8 is federally funded, and I believe the units go through the Housing Authority, which is separate from the county. To some extent, there's some connection, but
okay,
it's
because
in the
there's
program.
severe threats to Section 8.
Yes.
Crazy things like 2 years and you're off, and drastically reducing Section 8 funding in the current budget. So I just wonder if the numbers that you presented, which seem to be somewhat positive, could be very negatively affected by those federal programs. So.
I think you're absolutely right that ratio of 1 housed person to 1.8 unhoused probably could go up, and definitely that's a concern.
I did have another question.
Yes.
So what I'm really interested in, I've been reading a number of studies about sort of more permanent solutions for unhoused in terms of being able to get a job. And the studies I've been reading have been talking about having a private space that you can lock, that's not shared, is the biggest factor in helping people to actually get a job, once they have safe housing. Is the county measuring that at all? I understand you're measuring whether people are chronically unhoused or not, but whether particularly the housing types that are included, there's some that are not going to do that, the shelters and things like that. But the other ones, which we seem to be investing in, should be doing that. But are we actually measuring whether some of the folks who are in those programs are able to become more independent?
I believe that they have been looking at that, and that's why we're moving towards trying to provide more private space. And Mayor Klein and I and a number of us toured the Sunnyvale shelter, and even there, rather than have an open space, they're starting to partition spaces for the families and the and others who are there. And I've been told too many times that we should be really looking to create private spaces for folks. So to be able to give them a more sense of security, I believe, and that's really important. So yes, I think that's the direction that we are all trying to go towards.
It would be good to measure.
True. Yes. I think the key is really the wraparound services at the housing developments, and so permanent supportive housing, of course, but even at the safe parking lots, we provide case managers to help folks find a job, find childcare, get the kids to school, and that's really, I think, the key to success is being able to provide that assistance.
I think that would help our population residents who have a very mixed opinion about unhoused to appreciate the value that's achieved when people do have private space and are able to get on their feet.
Yes.
Thank you. Director Lowing?
Yeah, I was gonna ask for some clarity on, you gave the example of, the county's not supposed to build houses. It's supposed to do housing programs. And you said $67 million in dollars got 8,500 units. I just want to get clarity on, when you say a program, how does that translate to an individual city? We, in the last election, one of my competitors said, you know a lot about housing. Could we take a walk and you could tell me what the answers are? Do you know them? I said, yeah, I do. She goes, you do? Yeah. Walk past the window. I said, it's all about money. I said, well, what else? I said, I'm done. That's what we need. Because we can find the developers, we can figure out the land.
Yes.
We can get the zoning right. We just need funding.
Yes.
And that's still where we are. So when you talk about the 67 million, if you want us to do such and such a program and there's funding for it, we can do the rest. But I'm not sure that was what you meant in this case relative to homeless. But when I think about homeless, I also include the lowest income of affordable, the lowest levels of affordable housing. Because that's the rung that people need to get on if they're coming out of homelessness. But it's also the rung that some people need to get on in high affluent towns like some of ours are, just to be able to live there instead of commute from Tracy to go and be a waiter. So it's not exactly homelessness, but it could be.
Yeah, so and that's where the homelessness prevention programs come in.
Right.
So being able to help folks before they get
protections and things like that.
yes, and financial assistance and you're absolutely like that's my conclusion at the end of the day is we just need more funding to build the affordable units that the state has told us to build. And you've probably heard me gripe about this, but it's when they tell us 42% of the arena numbers have to be low income, or affordable housing units. But when we can only do 15% inclusionary zoning and at the most, because that's all the private developers will put out, contribute, where does the other 27% come from? And that's been the question I've been asking all these years. So Measure A was definitely a big part of that. And I think we should celebrate the success. I think it was successful to build 5,500 units with the $950 million. So that's the question is, okay, can we do another bond measure similar to Measure A? I actually would like to see if we could do more, which is what BAFA would have brought us $4 billion in the county. And what I'm trying to research is whether as a county, we have the ability to bond that amount of money. There's also this other piece and about a public bank. That was one of the other strategies for BAFA. We would have taken 20% of that funding and created a low interest, no interest loan program for affordable housing developers. And then when they pay that back, you just recycle it. And to me, that was the most intriguing. And frankly, I thought, the most attractive for voters because we can't keep going to the voters for more money. We have to figure out how to be self-sustaining, and perhaps that's the way to do it. What I've learned since is a housing trust, actually, they're called CDFIs, and they do that. So my question is, we already have these mechanisms. I think it's really about then being able to fund them to be able to provide those low interest loans and continue to recycle the money. So the Housing Trust has been very successful in many of our communities, and they leverage that funding. So it's already there. They just need the funding to do it. And with Measure A, they actually they got $25 million and were able to leverage that to build quite a bit of the units that were built. So yes, you're absolutely right. I think at the end of the day, it's funding, but the cities, with the cities and the challenge for many cities is land because it's not that readily available everywhere, right? So if the cities can provide land, then the county, I believe we should be able to provide the services. So the caseworker, the job, helping them to find jobs and whatnot. But we are dependent on the cities in terms of providing the land to build these different types of housing units.
Yep. Okay, thanks.
Other questions or comments? Three quick questions. Any idea when the point in time count is coming out specifically?
I think that will also come out in the fall.
Okay. When is the timeline in your at least from your standpoint of a decision for Measure A version 2 from a county standpoint?
Yes, so I think, and I've been talking to folks about the need for different entities to come together because I'm hearing about all these different sales or not sales revenue measures. So again, I mentioned the county. I know the city of San Jose is looking at some. We have the regional measure, a transportation measure. So I think we need to all convene and actually have that conversation. So I'm trying to work with some groups and organizations to do that soon.
Thank you.
But
And then,
26 would be, I'm sorry, 26 with this, we're looking at the transportation measure now. Originally, we were not going to join, but we're now in a place where we may have to join the regional measure as a VTA of South Santa Clara County. So that would be next year. So to be frank, I think 2028 would be the next opportunity to do something and look at a housing bond measure.
I appreciate that. And then you listed 27% of the unhoused are families.
Yeah.
Do you have a breakdown of a percentage for how many under 18 are part of that 27%?
We can get that for you.
Okay, that'd be useful. Because that to me is, the most difficult thing of how that has that long-term effect on
Yes.
the children that are growing up unhoused. And so it's trying to, seeing the shelter and converting the Sunnyvale shelter into, as opposed to singles and couples and families, to only families, at least gives some stability there,
Right.
especially to kids that are trying to attend school and everything else. So good from that standpoint. Any other questions? Yes.
Thank you so much for answering. It's great that you've come here and given this report. I'm just curious on the numbers. You house one and there's 1.8 who show up at the door. What efforts can be taken or considered to prevent this kind of additional housing issues that comes up? And who are these people? Are these people just migrating? They've gone through some economic issues, or what's going on? Why are we doubling our unhoused population every year? Because we'll never solve the problem this way.
Right.
And the affordable housing that is supposed to be built is not affordable for most of these people who are unhoused.
Mm-hmm.
So the county will subsidize them to a certain amount, but at some point that's going to break out. But are there any efforts being made to prevent further homelessness?
Yes, so I think what we need to do is to identify those folks who are on the cusp and then provide them with financial assistance or even case management. Maybe they need help finding a more affordable place. So I think it's really just working with the individuals and the families before they get to that point where they've lost their home. That would be most effective. But ultimately, again, it is a question of funding, and I think that's the debate. Is like the resources are finite, so where do we shift them? Do we get again, I say is we just have to spread it out. But in terms of who is becoming homeless, I don't have data specifically, but some of the categories are those who just lost their job and can't afford to pay their rent. It's interesting because I too thought maybe there's migration, but it doesn't seem to be that's a large number of folks. And then again, the mentally ill is a significant population, and that's like a whole nother category in itself that we have to address, and we're trying to address with our mental and behavioral health services. But ultimately, I think they need a place to go to, and we haven't been able to provide, our society has taken those locations away, and I think we need to revisit that.
you said not migration, but before you said they migrate from San Jose.
Yes.
other than the county fire, just a few county fire things, nothing has been said from the county.
It is one of those nights, everything is taking time. Just piggybacking on that question, you mentioned earlier trainings available for different jurisdictions, your willingness to come. Can you elaborate a little bit on that? What can we, and since you heard so much of that, what we want to work on as council members and take the information back into our cities, our budgets are tight, you also heard that. What can you even recommend to us? What can we do? What should we do? Because fire, earthquake is not going to be limited to a segment of only one specific city. And so at a county level, and we also are lucky enough to have our supervisor with us, what can you recommend that we do, or what kind of trainings that you're suggesting?
I can get you the information.
That'd be
It's
great.
really difficult to give a snapshot in this setting, to be honest. I mean, there's so many classes. But we, through the EOAC, you may have noticed, we put out a training bulletin every time that a group meets. We have our training listed on the Santa Clara County Office of Emergency Management training site. So we can talk more about that, but there's many things that could be done.
Yes, thank you. And there's a long list. I saw that. I think what would be helpful, just like I kept on asking my city, and Tom was in Cupertino, since we haven't had time to go through the bio, and also representing Saratoga, so he's very familiar with that. And Javed, just so you know, Dana Reed, one of his degrees is also in fire science. So we are talking to a real expert when you look at his bio. So it would help us to, when I sit down with you, or if you can send me information from your team, what are the top 3 things? Like communications, I kept on asking Leslie, our assistant city manager, asking residents 10 things. Nothing will get done. Bring it to the top 3. And then keep on repeating 1. At this point, most of people in my city have done the alert SCC, as Larry also said. So similarly, trainings wise, what is the most impactful? So that's just one part.
Well, one thing everyone can do is take the California SIMS training, because that California has its own system, standardized emergency management system, was developed back in Oakland Hills fire, came out of the Petrus bill. It's not a really, we can get you that information. That's a great starter to understand how the state manages emergencies. It's tied to the incident command system, and it's tied, which was also started in California, by the way. And then NIMS, the National Incident Management System. NIMS came from SIMS and ICS, both from California, I'd like to point out. So the national system was based really on the amazing work that California's done. The SIMS is a great starter, if you will, to try to understand the mechanisms of emergency management and how it's managed, the EOC functionality. And then there's other classes. We could probably, we're going to have to noodle on that a little bit, because the class list is like this big, and you're looking for some reasonable, list that you can do. We try really hard to have a training standard for our EOC staff. It's difficult to manage, but we try to have minimum training for our EOC members. When you get assigned to the EOC, James Williams signs an appointment letter. Congratulations, you're in the EOC. This is what you're going to be doing. And here's the training you need to complete. And then our office is responsible to provide the training, shepherd the training, encourage people to do their training, track it. I know the City of San Jose does that as well. They have a great program for training that they do, and other cities may have similar. So sometimes it's just the baseline training, SIMS, maybe an ICS class, maybe a couple other small classes, maybe a specific class to their city. So we can help with that, but it's, even just doing that and having that level of participation, that would go a long way. But it's a huge commitment, to do all that, and we know that. That's what we keep striving for. So,
thank you.
Right.
Thank you. For the sake of time, is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak?
No one online.
Any final comments?
Thank you, Chair. So thank you, Dana, for your presentation, and
You're welcome.
Tim.
Tom.
But you didn't mention the CERT, Citizen Emergency Response Team. So our city has one of those.
Right.
I'm a member of that, and it would behoove each of the cities to form one, because that's when there's a major earthquake. We have we have like a, what do you call those, a train, not a train, those cabs, and that's where we store all our emergency supplies.
Oh, the ARC. Yeah.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you.
So we have it strategically located in our city.
Right.
So, and we get training every 3 months, what to do in case of an emergency, especially earthquakes and, also evacuation points. So that would be something the cities could really, really benefit from.
And many of the cities do have CERT programs, by the way. It's a good program.
Yeah.
The county does this, the countywide cert also, which is useful.
They just had a CERT exercise, in fact.
Yeah.
Countywide one. They just did it. I heard it was quite good. So
Any final comments?
That's
Thank
it.
you. Thank you, Tom. Thank you,
thanks
Dana.
for your time and your patience. And
Thanks for
if we
staying.
didn't fully answer the questions, we'll have our EOAC connections get back to us and go, you guys need to work on this.
Thank you.
And we will.
Thank
you.
you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Dana.
You bet. See you at the next meeting.
All righty.
All right. Thank you.
I know we're running very late, but we do have a few things that I would like to get through. Hopefully it won't be that long, and keep in mind that we won't have a meeting. We'll have a fun meeting next month and then nothing until August. First up, our next item is item 6, possible sponsorship of Silicon Valley Clean Energy, event sponsorship and discussion and possible action. This is just a request. It's free. They just want to have us support Silicon Valley Clean Energy. They're looking at how they maintain codes, especially with some things happening at the state level. So this is a free event. You should have all received it. It was sent to your city clerks after I found out that it ended up in my spam box when Silicon Valley Clean Energy sent it out. It also was sent to all of our city clerks. I'll have Shali, assuming that we co-sponsor, I'll have Shali send it out to us. But it's at the end of the month. And so just wanted to make this aware to everybody. Any questions? Any public comment?
Not online.
And so looking for a motion to support this.
Happy
co-sponsor.
second.
Thank you. Walia and Knight, Igor,
Excellent.
and then you can do a voice vote.
Okay, motion to
So,
co-sponsor the Silicon Valley Clean Energy event. That's up there was made by Pliger,
Walia.
Walia and Flagler.
by Walia, seconded by Pliger. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Next is the LAC update.
All right. In the interest of time, I'm going to make this as brief as I possibly can. Despite a very brief introduction, the LAC was able to address all 4 of the bills that were on our list. SB 50 by Assembly Member Pappen, SB 79 by Senator Wiener, SB 753 by Senator Cortese, and SB 457 by Senator Becker. Of these, the only bill on which the LAC recommends that this body take a position is AB 650, which we recommend that this body support. AB 650 reforms the housing element adoption process in the following ways. It increases the time between the assessment of the total regional housing needs and the due date for cities' housing element creation. It increases the time between the establishment of the methodology for the regional housing needs allocation to jurisdictions and the date the city's housing element creation needs to occur. It also establishes clearer guidance on affirmatively furthering fair housing standards, and it requires HCD, if it does not certify a draft housing element, to provide a clear list of reasons why and an explanation of what will be needed to bring the draft into compliance.
Thank you. Any questions?
Gets rid of build assembly.
No, they took that out. They took it out.
Thank you. Any other questions? Any member of the public wishing to speak? Is there a motion to support this? Having the president write a letter in favor or in accord with the LAC suggestions?
So moved.
Thank you. Director Bybee, second.
Second.
Thank you. Director
Mayor
Montano. Yep. Conduct a roll call vote or a voice vote. All those in favor?
Motion to support AB 650. Take the support position was by Bybee, second by Montano. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 9, Santa Clara update by Preminger. Steve had another commitment tonight, and we heard from our supervisor, so it was a much extended item as far as that's concerned. Item 10, Santa Clara County City Managers update.
Yeah, a lot of stuff.
Tonight, our meeting got delayed. We meet next week.
Okay. Executive Director update.
I'm just working really hard on the June event. That's my ticket.
Thank you. And joys and challenges. Any final comments?
Okay.
Very quickly. This is very exciting. You never heard this from me because it hasn't happened in my 5th year I've seen in my city of Saratoga. So SPCE had some grant opportunities, and I know Sunnyvale got some. You guys always get a lot, which is great. You do great work. Don't get me wrong. But seriously, what I'm excited is that City of Saratoga got $500,000 grant, and that will do electrify the switch from gas to electric, our civic center, community center, and Warner Hutton House, which is all together. If you have been to my city, between Redwood Middle School and the library, the biggest thing is, and that's what I had been asking for, we need opportunities for cities like mine. This was me talking last year at SBC when I was board chair, and I got the support of Larry and everyone else, and staff found ways to find opportunities for cities where they could have a non-matching grant opportunities, where they would also do community education. So kids from the middle school are walking towards this, and the demo site will be the old historic Warner Hutton House, which will be fully electric. There's plenty more, but I'm thrilled beyond words. $500,000 unimaginable in the city of Saratoga.
Amazing.
Very cool.
Congrats.
Thank you. Thank you for everyone.
Congrats.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Any other
Quick
comments?
announcement. There's been a lot of talk about the buffer regional bond, the REAP funds with the collaborative. ABAG is submitting a letter to the state legislature asking for funding to fund technical assistance, all the programs that ABAG and BAFA have been funding over the last few years. And so there's a letter they're asking elected officials to sign on to. The bad news is it's due tomorrow. So I'll actually send the letter. You all should have received it, but I know sometimes it goes to spam. I'll send the letter to Shali. Hopefully she can get it out to everybody. And if you're able to review and sign it, because all the technical assistance talk about the housing element update and all the things we've talked about tonight, this funding helps to support our cities via ABAG. So we'll get the letter out.
Do you want it sent to just the board members or all council?
Elected officials.
I can do that.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other comments? Joys, challenges? Thank you all for going late tonight. Normally we end right on time.
Yep.
I saw it, but
It's the last meeting before August.
but it's two very, very good topics and lots of discussion. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for taking the time. And with that, we adjourn the meeting at 9:30 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.